Let me ask you something that might shake the way you think about spirituality. What if I told you the real gateway to other realms isn't in your mind at all? Not in your thoughts, not in your visualizations, not even in your heart. What if the key has been quietly sitting inside your body your entire life, and you've probably never even noticed it? And no, I'm not talking about some mystical gland hidden in your brain or a secret pressure point that only a guru can find. I'm talking about a bone. Just one bone. An ancient, sacred piece of you that old cultures around the world treated with reverence without ever needing to write a single word about it. The strange thing? You use it every day without thinking. You walk with it, sit with it, dance with it, but you don't really feel it. Yet it's the same bone that ancient shamans, priestesses, and healers called the throne of the soul. Sounds dramatic, right? But here's the thing: for thousands of years, people believed this bone wasn't just part of the body. They believed it was the bridge between your physical world and the unseen. And the more I've studied it, and more importantly, felt it come alive in my own body, the more I understand why they guarded this knowledge so closely. The bone you've been ignoring. It's called the sacrum. A triangular bone sitting at the very base of your spine, just above your tailbone. If your skeleton were a temple, this would be the foundation stone. Strong, solid, unmoving. And yet when you move it in certain ways, it's anything but static. It becomes a drum, a vibrational altar, a kind of living antenna that connects you downward to the earth and upward to the sky. Ancient cultures didn't learn this from anatomy charts or medical journals. They discovered it by feeling it through ritual dances under the moon, slow spirals of the hips, sacred walks across desert plains, and quiet nights when their bodies moved like flowing water without thought or plan. They didn't call it meditation. They didn't sit still and wait for the mind to go quiet. They moved, they pulsed, they circled, and in doing so, they opened portals, not the fantasy kind you see in movies, but doorways of perception, shifts in awareness so profound that the everyday world seemed to dissolve. Why haven't you heard about this? Because somewhere along the way, this kind of body wisdom got buried. We were taught to treat spirituality as something that happens in the mind, to rise above the body, to escape it. But the ancients knew the truth. You can't escape the body to find your soul, because the body is the soul in motion. The loss of this knowledge wasn't an accident. Think about it: if you knew you could expand your awareness, reach altered states, and feel connected to something infinite just by moving a part of your own body, you wouldn't need permission from anyone. You wouldn't need institutions, or intermediaries, or a set of rules to follow. You'd be free. And freedom, historically, has always been inconvenient for systems of control, a living gateway hiding in your spine. When you move the sacrum with awareness, something happens that's hard to explain unless you've felt it. It's not like doing a crunch at the gym. It's not like shaking it in a dance class. It's a soft, circular, spiraling movement, as if you were tracing invisible patterns in the air with your hips. At first, it feels almost too simple. But if you keep your breath steady and your mind present, you'll start to notice something subtle. A warmth at the base of your spine, a pulsing, a sense that the bone is alive. From there, it spreads. The rhythm climbs your spine like a slow drumbeat, turning into a full song. Your shoulders loosen, your jaw relaxes, your thoughts slow down, not because you're forcing them to, but because the vibration has taken over as the main language of your body. And then, and this is the part that keeps people coming back, you start to feel space differently. Time feels softer. The edges between me and everything else blur just a little. You're not imagining it. You're stepping into what ancient traditions called the threshold, the space between worlds. The ancients knew it by many names. African elders practiced spiral dances that made the sacrum hum like a sacred drum. Mesoamerican shamans spoke of reactivating a code at the base of the spine, calling it the throne of the spirit. In ancient Egypt, the Jed pillar, a symbol of life's axis, was linked to the base of the spine and the upward surge of consciousness. Even medieval alchemists whispered about a crucible in the flesh, a place where spirit could ignite like fire. None of these people had MRI scans or nerve charts. And yet, they were right. The sacrum connects to a vast network of nerves, muscles, and energy channels that influence your whole state of being. When it vibrates in the right way, it's like flipping a hidden switch. Dormant parts of your nervous system wake up. Your brain lights up in patterns you don't use in ordinary life. You start experiencing reality in a fuller, more connected way. Why movement is the missing piece in modern spirituality? Most people try to reach higher with stillness. Sit down, close the eyes, focus on the breath. And yes, that can be powerful. But stillness isn't the only way. Think of your energy like a river. If the base, the source, is blocked, it doesn't matter how calm the surface is. The flow never really reaches its full strength. Moving the sacrum isn't about being restless. It's about opening the floodgate at the very start of the river. When you do, everything else in your spiritual practice becomes richer. Meditation goes deeper. Breathwork feels fuller. Even ordinary walking feels more alive. And that's just scratching the surface. In the next part, I'll take you deeper into how to move the sacrum so it becomes a living portal, and why you should approach this practice with both excitement and respect. Because when you wake up this bone, you're not just stretching muscles, you're waking something ancient inside you that's been waiting a very, very long time. Waking the throne of the soul. All right, so now that you know what the sacrum really is, and why it's been treated as sacred for thousands of years, let's talk about how to wake it up. But first, here's something I need you to understand. This isn't just some fitness routine or a trendy spiritual hack. When you move this bone with awareness, you're stepping into a conversation your body has been trying to have with you since the day you were born. And just like any important conversation, how you show up matters. The sacrum doesn't respond to force. You can't just jerk your hips around and expect cosmic fireworks. The sacrum isn't a light switch you flip. It's more like a drum that needs to be warmed, tapped, and coaxed into singing. Ancient dancers didn't move to impress anyone. They moved to feel. They let the rhythm shape them, not the other way around. This is why the movement is circular, spiral, wave-like, never rigid. Think of it as stirring a pot over a slow flame. If you try to force it, you'll just end up working the muscles around it, not the bone's deeper vibration. The magic happens when your breath, attention, and movement all start flowing as one. The first time I felt it, I still remember the exact day it clicked for me. I was in a small, dimly lit room with nothing but a drum track playing softly in the background. I started moving my hips in a slow figure-8 pattern, eyes closed, trying not to do the movement, but let it happen. At first, nothing. Just a bit of sway. My mind wanted to wander. But then maybe 2-3 minutes in, I felt this deep, warm pulse right at the base of my spine. It was subtle, but it had weight, like a heartbeat that didn't belong to my chest. It spread upward, slow but unstoppable, like warm honey climbing a pole. My breath deepened without me trying. The room felt bigger, and yet, I felt completely rooted in my body. That was the moment I realized, this isn't just about movement. This is about remembering. Why it feels like remembering. Here's the strange part. When the sacrum wakes up, it doesn't feel like you're learning something new. It feels like you're returning to something ancient you once knew, but somehow forgot. Maybe that's why so many cultures saw it as a seat of memory, not mental memory, but body memory. Things you can't write down. Things you just know. Some people describe visions. Others feel sudden emotions rise up: joy, grief, longing, as if the body is flushing out old echoes. And sometimes there's a calm so deep, it feels like the ground itself is holding you. The 3 golden rules before you begin. This is where we need to slow down for a second, because as beautiful as this practice is, it's not something to treat casually. The ancients kept it guarded for a reason. When you open a gateway, you don't control what comes through, you control how ready you are to meet it. First, stay grounded. This isn't about flying off into some dreamy state. Your body is the anchor. Feel your feet. Feel the floor. If you're carrying a lot of emotional weight, be gentle. Sometimes, this movement stirs up what's been buried. Let it rise, but don't drown in it. Second, have a clear intention. The sacrum isn't a machine. It responds to purpose. Ask yourself why you're doing this. Healing, clarity, connection. The more honest you are, the more the movement aligns with you. Third, create a sacred container. You don't need incense and candles, though you can use them. You just need a space where you won't be interrupted. This tells your nervous system, this is safe. You can open now. The movement itself. Start standing or sitting upright. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths, letting your weight sink down into your hips. Now, imagine your pelvis as a bowl of water. Your job is to swirl that water slowly, gently, in one direction, then the other. Don't think about getting it right. Feel the movement from the inside. Let it be soft, fluid. You might barely move at first, and that's okay. The sacrum responds to presence more than to big gestures. Think of a cat stretching in the sun, unhurried, sensing every inch. If you stick with it for a few minutes, you may feel heat, tingling, or a slow expansion in your lower back. This is the bone starting to hum. Why this movement changes everything. When the sacrum moves like this, it's not just the bone shifting. You're waking up nerve pathways that connect to your entire spine. You're sending waves up through your chakras, your energy centers, your brain. The ancients believed this was the drumbeat that called the soul forward. Without the drum, the dance never starts. And here's the secret most people miss. When you do this regularly, it doesn't just change your meditation or your mood. It starts changing how you exist in the world. Your walk feels different. Your voice carries differently. Even the way you look at people softer, yet more certain shifts. So you've felt the hum of the sacrum, maybe even that warm pulse that spreads through your spine like a slow wave. You've seen how simple, intentional movement can shift not just your body, but your whole state of mind. But here's the thing, this is where most people stop. They try it once or twice, feel something new, then go back to their usual life as if nothing has changed. And yet, if you keep going, if you weave this movement into your days like a quiet ritual, that's when the real transformation begins, because this isn't just about a bone anymore. It's about who you become when you remember your body is more than flesh. It's a living temple. When the body starts to remember, at first, the practice feels like something you are doing. You're the one making the circles, guiding the hips, breathing into the base of your spine. But give it time, and one day you'll realize it's not you moving it. It's it moving you. Your sacrum starts to guide the rhythm, almost like an ancient part of you has taken the lead. It's the same feeling you get when you're so lost in a song you forget you're dancing. You're not performing anymore, you're being moved. That's when old memories, not from your mind, but from deep in your cells, begin to rise. They're not like remembering a childhood birthday or a school trip. They're more primal flashes of places you've never been, symbols that feel familiar, emotions that feel older than you. The threshold state. When the ancients talked about stepping between worlds, they weren't talking about disappearing into thin air. They meant something far more intimate, shifting into a way of perceiving where the line between the physical and the invisible is thin. In this state, you might notice subtle light patterns in the space around you, or hear a faint hum that seems to come from nowhere. Sometimes it's a presence not in a spooky way, but like someone wise is standing just outside the edge of your vision. And the most powerful part, you stop feeling separate from your surroundings. The tree outside isn't over there anymore. It feels like part of you. The air in the room isn't empty. It feels alive. The unexpected gifts. I've seen people start this practice for spiritual reasons and end up finding it changes their practical life just as much. One woman told me her anxiety before public speaking vanished after she spent 5 minutes moving her sacrum before stepping on stage. Another man said his chronic lower back tension eased after years of pain, not because he was stretching, but because he was finally letting that area move freely. And for many, decision-making becomes clearer. Why? Because you're no longer only thinking from your head. You're feeling from your whole body. The sacrum doesn't lie when it's open and steady. You can sense what's right for you without endless mental debates. Why you need to stay grounded. There's one warning I always give, not to scare you, but to keep you safe. When the sacrum is fully awake, it can stir up things you've tucked away, old emotions, buried fears, even patterns you thought you'd left behind. This isn't a sign you're doing it wrong. It's a sign you're finally creating enough space for them to surface. But here's the key. Never rush to get rid of what comes up. Sit with it. Let it move through you. That's how the body cleans itself, by feeling, not by forcing. Making it part of your life. You don't have to dance for hours or turn your living room into a shrine. Sometimes just a few minutes in the morning before the world gets loud is enough. Stand. Close your eyes. Feel your feet. Let your pelvis make those slow, gentle spirals. Breathe into the base of your spine like you're feeding a small flame. And when you're done, stand still for a moment. Notice how different the air feels. Do it again the next day, and the next, until it stops feeling like a practice and starts feeling like part of the way you live. The real secret, the biggest surprise about this journey. You stop chasing portals or higher states because you realize you are the portal. You are the meeting place between the seen and unseen, the ordinary and the sacred. The sacrum doesn't just connect your spine to your legs, it connects your human self to your eternal self. And when you move it with devotion, reality itself begins to feel like it's moving with you. If you've been looking for a way to feel more present, more alive, and more connected, not just during meditation, but in the way you walk, speak, and live, this is it. The most ancient key isn't hidden in a distant temple or secret text. It's been with you since before you were born. And maybe, just maybe, it's been waiting for you to remember.